Hey guys, welcome back to the show. My name is Chris Ledford. This is Warrior Quest. If you haven't already, please go back and check out our first episode featuring Eric Ramey from 10th Planet Pasadena. Today we're going to sit down and talk to my buddy Jonathan Kowalsky. Jonathan is an actor and entrepreneur. You may have seen him in TV shows like Justified, and I'll put a couple of photos up here and give you an idea of who he is. Jonathan is a lifelong martial artist. He is an athlete. He is a former collegiate wrestler. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And I believe he's also a Taekwondo black belt as well. Jonathan has come out with a pretty innovative product for grapplers called Grappz. So if you're a person that likes to tape your fingers when you train, stay tuned because this episode is for you. I wanted to also give a big special thank you to everyone over at Jog Center for allowing us to tape this episode there. I'm going to put their website across the screen if you guys are in LA and looking for a good place to train. It's a fantastic facility, so thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It does help me out. So without further ado, guys, here's Jonathan. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. This week I have Jonathan Kowalsky with me. Jonathan is a lifelong martial artist, wrestler, who is also the founder of Grappz, which I will link in the description box below. So when you guys get a chance, go take a look. Super cool product. So thanks for doing this, man.
My pleasure.
So I know we sat down once before, but I wanted to get more of we weren't able to cover everything, especially when it comes to Grappz. So I wanted to get with you and talk a little bit more about how you developed the product and everything like that. But to give everybody kind of a brief history of where you come from, talk a little bit about how you got into wrestling and martial arts and everything.
Sure. Actually, it all started with Judo, and I think that was just a coincidence. I think I started Judo at like 7.
Dang.
I wouldn't call myself a judoka or anything, but I just knew that I started at 7 to like 10, 2.5, 3 years, and just I kind of loved it. I had 2 older brothers. We beat the shit out of each other. I was the youngest, so I got my ass whooped. But just a rambunctious kid, really liked to wrestle, and I think it was just I truly believe in Bushido and that some people have a warrior spirit and some people don't, and I was just a natural fighter. So middle school, grew up in New York, wrestling. It was just with whatever, I don't know why, I just knew I was going to wrestle. Started wrestling and loved it and hated it, as anybody who wrestled will tell you that. It sucks to suck weight. It sucks to fucking sweat and get your ass kicked after school.
And then go back tomorrow.
The next day. But, you know, one of those things, glutton for pain or whatever. But
did you find that, because did you play other sports too?
I did. Football, lacrosse, wrestling. Those are my 3 main sports.
So did you find, because I didn't discover wrestling until 7th grade, but I was always a super small kid, right?
Me as well.
Wrestling was the one sport that it didn't matter that I was smaller than everyone else. So when I found wrestling, I was like, man, I found everything that I wanted, because I could apply athletic ability, like I had my love for sports, and I wasn't worried about, you know, my friends who were 2 times my size.
Right. For me, it wasn't a worry thing. It was more of like a playtime thing. So I was on the football team. They called me Rudy because I was during the movie. I was one of the smaller guys. I played special teams. I got maybe a couple minutes of play per game. And that was through my whole football career. I played every season, every year I was allowed to. I think it's 7th grade on through high school. And I barely got any playing time. Even though I put in the work, I could hit hard, I was still I was a smaller guy, so I didn't get much playing time. I was on the team. That was why I was the captain of the high school wrestling team. That's the difference. I excelled at wrestling, didn't really excel at football. Lacrosse, I still did pretty well considering my size. I was long stick D, so you get that stick, you're allowed to poke the shit out of people and knock the shit out of people. So I still did pretty well with lacrosse, and it was a full contact sport, so that was fun for me. But again, I'm Rudy, 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. So I wasn't that big and I wasn't that fast, but I still did pretty well just because of the physicality of lacrosse. But for sure, the excel was wrestling.
Did you wear the big? Because I had a big neck brace to make myself
in football?
To make myself look bigger.
Actually, no, I didn't have that because I didn't fucking buy anything. I didn't have any money to buy shit.
No, I got it from the
school gave it to you?
Yeah, they didn't give it to me. I just grabbed it from the equipment.
Oh yeah, our schools didn't give it. We didn't have that shit. So I would have, if they gave it to me, I would have put it on.
I just thought, man, that'll make me look bigger than I am if I had a giant neck brace coming out of my helmet.
True.
So that's how you got into wrestling and discovered that. Then you went on to wrestle in college.
I did. So I went to Florida State University. And
oh shit! I didn't know you went to FSU.
Yeah, I went to FSU.
Oh, okay, cool.
So FSU is not a NCAA wrestling team. All their focus in the Florida schools is football. And they had a club team for wrestling. And I purposely didn't want to wrestle in college. My plan was not to wrestle in college because I was, I fucked up my body from sucking weight, and took laxatives, wore the suit. I wrestled my freshman year, which they don't even have this weight class, 91 my freshman year. Yeah, they don't even have that weight class.
Yeah, I did 83 pounds in 8th grade and 93 pounds in 9th grade.
So I didn't want to keep sucking weight. I really think I did mess up my body from all the weight that I sucked. Mm-hmm. So my plan was not to wrestle in college, and then just mess around. And then sure enough, it was such a huge school. They had a club team. I'm like, okay. And then they had this IM tournament, intramural wrestling tournament. And I'm like, all right, let me do this. I did it. Did really well. I think I just placed in it. I wasn't on any team. And then they recruited me like, bro, we got a wrestling club. You got to come. And I'm like, all right. And then it was just like I fell in with my people, became friends with everybody on the club team. And it was a pretty legit program. It was a Southeastern Conference. We did, UF, UCF, schools in Louisiana, in the Panhandle. And we would drive around. They'd come to us. We'd go to them. And it was legit. It was actually the perfect mix of wrestling that I wanted. Mm-hmm. It was, D1 college wrestling is not what I wanted. But
that's an intense amount of pressure and stress.
Right, exactly. I didn't even suck weight for collegiate wrestling. I did pretty well still. Also, I think New York wrestling is a step above Florida wrestling or Southern wrestling. But yeah, man. So I wrestled there, and I blew my first ACL my senior year wrestling in a tournament. I've had 4 ACL tears. My first one was when I was 21 in Florida at one of my last tournaments in the finals of all places.
Did you find that when you started to wrestle in college, did it make the college experience better because you found something that you were able to dive into, it felt more home?
Yes, home and community. Like I said, I fell in with my people like other wrestlers. In that sense, yes, and I think aggression. I used to fight a lot in college, so I'm sure it helped with that. I got arrested a bunch, so
as we do
when during wrestling season, and it helped with that. It probably kept me out of a little more trouble than I would have gotten into. I guess really it was BJJ and MMA that really calmed me down because I was still, you still got Napoleon, and wrestling isn't really. You're still not super secure with yourself, or maybe it was an age thing, but I got real secure with myself to where at a club when someone bumps you, when you're a BJJ guy and MMA guy, now you can I have nothing to prove to you. Still, when I was wrestling, I still had something to prove. But I definitely got my stress out on the mat during college, so yes.
Cool. All right, so after college, you moved out to LA.
Correct.
Started to pursue acting,
yep.
And then you fell into Taekwondo.
That's right. I was going to say, I thought you were going to forget that part. Started with TKD in LA. TKD, let's see. So, as a wrestler, you know how that work ethic as an athlete. I came out and just went to a regular gym. It was Beverly Hills Health and Fitness, if you remember. It doesn't exist anymore. And just working out 5 days a week, like a fucking meathead. And no wrestling, no BJJ, and aspiring as an actor, brand new to the business. So didn't know shit and still had that athlete mentality. And they had a thing on the board at the gym, free Taekwondo classes. I'm like, all right, let me check this out. So I went to one of the classes and obviously excelled compared to the other people and showed up to every single class. Ended up becoming best friends with the instructor, who was a 3-time world champion, and got really into it. Started doing, I want to say within a year, I was doing full splits. I didn't do any competitions because he was on the Olympic team from Bulgaria, not the American Olympic team, and he would train with a bunch of Bulgarians, and I would just, I think it was Tuesday nights, go with them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I was a piece of shit compared to what but they knew I liked to get down.
Yeah.
So, just even using some Western boxing, I would still get down, get work. You're wearing the foam kind of shit, not MMA stuff, but Taekwondo stuff.
Yeah, the old school Taekwondo.
Yes.
Full wrap.
Yeah, and I loved it, and it looked good for film too. I remember my roundhouse kicks got pretty nice looking. And that said, my real passion was, I guess, just naturally I was a grappler.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say 3 years of that, and so yeah, 25-ish. I was stumbling through that complex where HBJJ used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why I was there, and I saw Hollywood BJJ, and I walked in unplanned and just inquired, like, oh, BJJ. As a wrestler, there was always not an inferiority to BJJ, because I'm like, that's the next level. I always like got nervous because I knew I was a badass, and then I got nervous when people were like, oh, I'm a BJJ. I'm like, shit, they have a step above me. And obviously, growing up with UFC 1, 2, 3, you know, I was like, fuck, I gotta get into it. So I walked into this academy. In there was Sean Williams, Sean Apperson, and a guy named Sean Connolly. Nicest guys in the world. Like, yeah, I wrestled, da-da-da-da-da. And confident, not ego. They were like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, check it out. Check out a class. And I don't remember, my memory served me if it was that moment. I like just happened to be before a class and I stayed, or I went back that day for a class. So I took the class and I'm like, I'd like to roll. Can I roll? And they're like, sure. They were very apprehensive. They were a newer academy at the time. And I...
What's your thought on that? Because I had the same thing. Like, I rolled my very, very first night at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Actually, I got my ribs separated the first night I went. And it was he'd only been open for like maybe a year or so.
I'd say as a business owner, it's not a good idea. Mm-hmm. But as an athlete, it is. Like, I think... The only real way to like understand what's going on is to go. And again, everybody's different. I think I'm gonna change my answer. It's different per each person.
Yeah, I don't think I would have gone back if I wasn't allowed to roll the first night. I don't know if he did that like purposefully.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it literally, I left out of there going, I'm sold. Like, I asked him, like, hey, do I just go to, like, get a gi somewhere? What do I do? He's like, no, you got to buy it from me. Like,
right.
He was like, come back tomorrow. I was like, all right.
Yeah, similar. Now again, I was a grappler, and after I'm like, all right, so check us out. Here's our schedule, and here's our prices. I'm like, wait, can I roll? And I noticed that they were about to roll. Mm-hmm. And they kind of look at each other like, okay. And they took this guy, Amici. He's an old school Henzo guy. Mm-hmm. I want to say he was purple, but like a bigger purple at the time. He was like over 200 pounds. Purple. Yeah. I'm like, all right, let's go. And it was no gi. It just happened to be no gi. And, you know, I feel like a lot of BJJ guys, he was ready to like sit on his butt. I'm like, wait, where do you guys start from? He's like, no, we start on feet. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And like within a minute, an easy, quick double leg. Easy. And by the time I get to the ground, he'd already locked up a guillotine, which we don't have in wrestling as a finish. Like, there's no finishing. And he got me. He tapped me. I'm like, ooh, fuck. All right, I got to fucking learn this shit. And yeah, same thing. I was sold. Just kept going back, and I excelled pretty quickly. I was easily the top white belt there forever. Mm-hmm. And then I got my blue, and I was tapping purples. Then I got my purples, was tapping brown, you know. And you get addicted. And that's what I think with jiu-jitsu. Like, there's two people. Like, you get on the mat, you roll a couple times, you're like, it's not for me. I don't like people touching me. I don't like sweat. And then there's like, what the fuck? This is awesome. And then you go back.
Yeah, so I think it's a step further than that too. Like, there are those people that I don't like to be touched and this and that. I also think there are those people that they just cannot handle.
Right.
Like, when you're in jiu-jitsu for the first couple times, your mind gets blown as far as like, how are they able to manipulate my movements, my body? How are they able to do these things? And it looks so easy for them. Like, I remember, all the higher belts when I would go, they would move me, and it was just so seamless for them. And I could not figure out. I'm giving it everything, like, physically that I can give,
right? And
they're just whoop, whoop, whoop. So I think there are those people too. Like, for me, it was like, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then there are those people that they just cannot get behind it. They're, you know what, I'm cool not being aware of where I am in the pecking order of life.
Exactly. So could add on to that story. So like I said, my Taekwondo instructor became one of my best friends. 3-time world champion Taekwondo, a bad dude on his feet, striker. And sure enough, when I like fell in love with BJJ after like 6 months of a year of going there, and I really pulled back on Taekwondo, I'm like, bro, you gotta check it out. And I brought him, and it was because the ego could play tricks on you. When you are so above here, if you're a fucking shark and you put him on land, and the shark's fighting a fucking raccoon, and the shark's like defenseless. That was kind of what happened, and it showed also a little bit of character. Like, he was older at the time, I want to say late 30s. He came on the mat with me, and here I am, a protege of his student, and just doing what I want with him on the ground. Understandably, he's a striker, and he's not at all, doesn't have experience grappling, and he never came back. So there's that too, the ego of the people who just can't handle loss or learning something new.
It's tough, like for people that become really advanced at like a striking discipline maybe, and then they get on the mats. It's hard to go back to being a brand new student. Like, you put so much time and effort into becoming so good at this one thing, and then to realize, Joe Rogan talks about it a lot when he got into jiu-jitsu, and he says, you know, I realized I got really, really good at something that was kind of useless. Not that it's useless.
I heard him say that too. I wouldn't say it's useless, but yes, I get what he's saying. He was able to identify and restart with putting his ego to the side. But you know, there's something to be said. There's 6 striking TKD guys there where I wish I had that level of it. But yeah.
Cool. So going through training, you had blown out your ACL in wrestling your senior year.
Yep.
Training in jiu-jitsu, white, blue, purple. Second. No, you had your second ACL.
Yeah, so my second
blue.
was my second ACL was actually playing basketball while I was a white belt. Second ACL, basketball as a white belt. Had the surgery, didn't do my due diligence on the doctor. Third ACL was jiu-jitsu. A 4-stripe white belt. And it wasn't, I want to say it wasn't even because of BJJ, it was because it was bound to happen. The surgery wasn't great. I was like 12 months post-op. I think I took off obviously like 9 to 10 months of training from my knee surgery from basketball. And I knew month 1 that it was not stable. I'm like, well, I'm just going to go back to train.
Did you feel it?
Yeah. It was loose. It was like, because I was still doing kicks at the time, and I couldn't really pivot. Yeah, I couldn't pivot on it. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to wait till it pops and get it done correctly. So I was actually rolling with Flannery, Sean Patrick Flannery, and I was in his close guard, and I was doing a stand-up escape the way we learned at Henzo's. And I came up, and he kept his guard closed and had weight. And Williams was the corner. I'm like, what do I do? He's like, just put your hands on his hips and shake him off. And I start shake, pop! My knee fucking pops. Oof. So that was ACL number 3. Got a really good surgeon. 9 more months goes by, and I came back, and now I'm still considered a white belt, but I'm this beast of a white belt. And everybody's like, what the fuck? Because now, and by the way, I told the story wrong. I tore my second ACL before I started BJJ.
Okay.
So that's why it was my in between my basketball ACL tear is when I started BJJ, and then it just blew into like within a year of that surgery. So now I'm this badass white belt because so much time has lapsed, and I didn't even care. Like, some people get really hurt up about belts. I remember people like, oh, look at my blue belt. I didn't give a fuck. I actually like tapping blue belts as a white belt. But that was when I tore my 3rd ACL. I went from blue to black. No injuries. No knee injuries. I had 1 shoulder surgery. 1 shoulder surgery. That was from boxing.
So really, the majority of your injuries didn't come from jiu-jitsu.
Of my big injuries, I did the 1 ACL tear, which was from really a bad surgery. 2 shoulder surgeries, but that was compounded with years of wrestling and half Nelsons and shit, and then boxing. So it's hard because the boxing is what was the straw that broke the camel's back, but I think it was the years of manipulation of the shoulders. But for both shoulder surgeries, it happened to be the boxing and hooks that popped them, but from years of grappling.
Yeah.
And then the only other real injury was a meniscal tear from BJJ. So my 4th ACL tear was a motorcycle accident. Just to get it straight.
How much shit did you get from your wife?
Man, yeah, I got rid of the motorcycle. I'm harder on myself. She's actually really smart. She didn't like say get rid of it. She's like, okay, and I was like, fuck. I was really tired of getting surgeries at that point.
Yeah, I remember you and I talked about it back then. You were like, man, this one's tough.
Depressing.
Yeah, you went through a period.
Yeah.
Which brings us to.
Yeah.
Like that segue?
That was great. In that recovery of that 4th ACL tear is where these were developed. So I have this, and this was from wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
This middle, what do you call this finger? Ring finger.
Your ring finger?
This ring finger dislocated wrestling. Let me go back. I actually broke this finger in middle school, the pinky finger, and had to get a surgery on it because I broke it in middle school. Showed my dad, he's like, put ice on it. My dad's a put ice on it guy. Cool, put ice on it. And it healed deformed, crooked. They called it a swan neck. Essentially, it was cool because I used to get out of class. Whenever we had a sub teacher, me and my friends would do this fake like push and fall.
Yeah.
And like, and like pop the finger out of the socket. And she'd be like, so my finger was jacked up. And then sure enough, the trainer of the wrestling team, I want to say my senior was like, you got to get that fixed. It's just going to cause severe issues. So I got a major surgery on my pinky. They put pins in it, re-broke it, blah, blah, blah. Then dislocated my ring finger, but it was one of those ones where the bone didn't break. Because the pinky, the bone broke. This one, the bone didn't break, and I just pop it back in. And it was fine, full use. The knuckle got a little fatter. And then just since then, that was probably like my senior year in high school, it just dislocates pretty easily.
Yeah.
Probably every 2-3 times a year it redislocates.
I feel like once something comes out of the socket, like it's never the same.
Exactly.
I had that with my shoulder.
Same with the shoulder. Right. Exactly. And I don't know if you know on fingers, like the knuckles get fat.
Yeah.
I think it's called bursitis. I don't know.
Yeah. I have like ridiculous knuckles, like all these. And then when I was a kid, I broke this one from here up, and so my finger was just hanging like that.
From what? Basketball?
We were playing kickball with a basketball.
Yeah.
And so I went to catch it, and I have long fingers, and I was in like 3rd grade, I think. So my hands developed before the rest of my body, so I was like lanky.
Got it.
And so I went to catch that thing, and it literally just snapped everything, shattered everything from there up, and it was hanging right there. They call it club finger.
Fun.
Yeah.
So this recurring dislocated finger was a big annoyance. My pinky was actually fine, non-issue because of the surgery. Other than I wish it didn't happen back when it happened. I hate tape. I only taped when I needed to. I wasn't one of those guys who sat there before practice taping up my fingers every time, preventatively or for grip. I didn't feel like it helped grip that much with the gi, but I guess I wasn't a huge cross choker or like burn, like, I didn't guard player. I wasn't a huge, So I taped my fingers together when either I just dislocated or was getting really swollen and sore. I would tape them together. And within 10 minutes of every roll, tape ended up in the mat. And I still, I remember I'd only be able to fully close my knuckle with this because the tape didn't let me fully close my hand on the side it was taped. So in this time of my recovery, not training, not auditioning, I'm like, how the fuck does nobody have this problem resolved? And I just got on my computer and started doing some research on finger support devices and finger conjoining, buddy taping is what it's called. And I couldn't believe they've had slips, like finger slips, which is the same kind of issue. They're more neoprene, they're really thick. I wanted something really simple, as thin as tape. So these neoprene slips, but they would just fall right off. But they never had anything above that. So I'm not a fucking entrepreneur or inventor or anything. So I just started from scratch and ordered a pair of Lycra gloves.
Like
regular gloves. They were actually like dance gloves or some shit. It was like for show, like dress gloves, show gloves. They just happened to be spandex Lycra. And I cut them up and kind of just needle and threaded them the way I wanted them to conjoin the fingers. And from there, I took that and then started researching fabrics. From there, I found the right fabric. Like, what's the best for rash guards? Because I'm thinking, like, we have rash guards. I've worn knee braces. We have all these braces and compression fabric. Like, that was the trend everybody's wearing. There's all these benefits to them. Like, why not a rash guard for your hand? Now that will support your fingers. So, it wasn't just my own issue. It was also, like, I saw dollar signs in that, like, this is a major problem for all jiu-jitsu players, especially with the gi. Bursitis, arthritis, all the dislocations and breaks, and just the wear and tear from playing with the gi or without the gi in grappling. So it wasn't just my own problem. It was like, I really think there's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah, if you've ever met any older jiu-jitsu players that have been doing it for a long time, they've mangled hands. That goes for judo. That goes for most grappling. Like, you could define any kind of grappling sports. Most grappling sports, submission, wrestling, whatever you want to call it, BJJ, Greco, most fingers of old-time grapplers are fucked, like mangled. So that's when I'm like, there's a problem that needs to be solved. The main problem was first originated from my own problem. And then when I saw that this wasn't out there, then I really started looking at how many other problems it solves and, like, who the market is and the trend. I noticed everybody's going to the gym. They're wearing tights. It's like dudes wearing tights to the gym, compression sleeves, compression shirts, compression shorts. So that it was the trend, and I couldn't believe that there really wasn't a product out there like a rash guard for your hands that protected your fingers, that actually had some benefit to it, not just for style purposes. So I really started from scratch, took a spandex Lycra thing, I cut it up, I sewed it up, took it to the next level, started researching fabrics, picked out the ideal fabric, learning from Under Armour, just kind of like seeing what they're doing, learning from different companies, like what's top rated, what's good, what's bad, antimicrobial, all that stuff. Then found material. Took the material, took my piece of shit little prototype, went to I didn't know any better. I went to a seamstress. I'm like, hey, can you turn this into this? Gave me like a shitty version of, a preliminary version of what my brain was telling me. Then I took it to the academy. Obviously, I wasn't able to train yet, but I gave it to a couple buddies that did tape their fingers. And these are the guys that every time before practice, they're like, pfft. And I got their feedback. And I took their notes, and then I got their feedback. And everything, modification. And it was a very arduous, long, meticulous process of getting to a point of where they're like, yes, I would use this over tape all day. And it got to a point of like really starting to research manufacturing, got a patent attorney, and money. Once I put the first $1,000 down for the attorney, I'm like, I'm gonna turn it back now.
Well, it was the question of like, am I putting this $1,000 down? Because if I'm doing it, I'm moving forward, and if I'm not, I'm not. And again, I am an actor. I was an actor at the time, and that was my focus. But I wasn't able to audition because of my knee. And now that I was like out and about, walking around, time has lapsed. Did I really want to do this? And I decided, like, yes. The feedback I got, like the look in the eyes of the guys that were training with the prototypes, I'm like, I gotta move forward. So I moved forward, long story short, a lot of hard work. Found a manufacturer. I did a film with Kurt Angle. Got a couple pairs to him. And said, hey, man, it was really asking for advice. Created this product. I haven't released it yet. Still, way behind on what my plan is, but let me know your thoughts, just any feedback. And he hits me up literally like as soon as he received the package. I think the package landed that morning. He's like, hey, I got the package. And then within an hour, he called me up. He's like, yo, I just worked out with these. They're a game changer. He's like, I love them. He's like, I can't believe that these aren't out there. I'd love to help out in any way I can. At the time, he was a retired professional wrestler. Just got done with TNA. And he's like, but I'd love to be a part. He's like, I'll help out any way you want, but I'd love to be a part.
Yeah.
So, we talked back and forth a little bit. Again, he was retired at the time. And I was like, yeah, it'd be great to have Kurt Angle as a fucking partner. So we worked out
definitely do worse than him. Olympic medalist.
Olympic Gold Medalist. And we worked out, terms and agreements, and he was down to be my George Foreman.
Yeah.
He's my George Foreman and truly believes in the product and the brand. And from there, he got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. From there, he got reinstated in the WWE. And now Grappz is part of his uniform. And I understand that WWE is fake wrestling. It is, but it is still a very athletic sport where you fuck up your fingers. So it's good for that. But it's also great to, be legitimized. Before we launched, to know that Kurt Angle is part of this gives it a lot of credibility. So yeah, basic, start from square one kind of thing on a baby budget. Shopify store, did a ton of research, and I didn't have a ton of money to invest. And Shopify store, patent was pending. I put the money down on that. That was probably the most expensive part. Then from there, all the web stuff, all the really arduous stuff. It's tech stuff, web design, marketing.
This is actually one of the things that I wanted to cover, because the whole theme of the podcast, the whole theme of the show is about how a modern day warrior, a modern day samurai would approach life,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I feel like for you as a non-entrepreneur, but as an athlete who understands discipline,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can just apply those same principles into the things that you're doing.
Absolutely.
You didn't know anything about building websites and tech and all that, but inch by inch, step by step, you learn one thing that leads you to another thing, that leads you to another thing. And yeah, it gets frustrating, but because you have that mindset, you're like, well, yeah, it's frustrating, but I'm not gonna quit. I'm just gonna power through, and I'll learn this, and that will lead me to something else. So that's the whole crux of the show. Is I'm fascinated by how people approach those things, because there's so many people that they live around the world, or they live around the country, or wherever, and they're like, I can't start a business because I don't understand this, or I don't know how to do that. And I think seeing your story helps people to understand, you don't have to be any super, Harvard educated, Wharton business school.
5 foot nothing, 100 nothing.
Yeah.
No, 100%. It's true. It's true. Exactly what you said. You don't have to be that, and that is what's amazing about today, and our country. The opportunity is there. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I don't have any big financial backing. That said, what I do have is no quit, even though between us and everybody else watching,
just you and me, no worries.
There was fucking times I wanted to quit. To this day, there's this is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I want to give it to somebody else to fucking do, and just give me a piece.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. My first shipment came in, and the fucking seams were wrong on all of them. They literally popped on every single one, and that was my investment. My first 1,000 units were bad, and I worked it out. I wanted to quit. It was literally the week after my first child was born. It was fucking scary. I'm like, fuck. Think about the heartache that is.
Yeah.
It's it was like a BJJ guy. That didn't work. Okay, just resolve it.
Yeah.
and I figured out a way to resolve it. Same thing on a daily basis, you know, dealing with customers, dealing with at a patent troll.
Yeah.
Adversity comes.
It's all about how you approach it and how you overcome it. And
Yeah.
you and I were talking before we started about, you know, it takes a little bit of a crazy mindset to be a wrestler and then to do jiu-jitsu, because you put yourself through such incredible physical and mental anguish.
Right.
And then come back tomorrow and keep coming back tomorrow.
Right.
But I think there's almost nothing better for a young person especially than to go through that,
Right.
because it teaches you the lessons that you now apply
To
in
this.
business, to this. So, man, Serena and I talk about it all the time because, you know, growing up in a similar way, I have this philosophy that you can't out-try me. Like, I'll try anything just to see if it works.
Yeah.
You can't out-try me. Because I'm not a big physical specimen. I'm not like the smartest person on the planet. But I'll out-hustle, out-work, and I will out-try anybody.
That's it.
So, cool, man. So a little bit more about
The glove.
the glove.
Yeah.
And then I want to get into a couple of like technique demonstrations.
Yeah.
And also I want to break down, because Chrome Gracie just fought last night, and it's the second time we've seen a particular takedown, and I want to break that down because I think it's so basic, but it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So we'll jump into that.
Yeah. So first, about what my product does. So you have all the benefits of compression fabric. We all know that with Under Armour and all these brands that everything is compression, right? I mean, essentially it's micro circulation when you keep the blood contained and heated. What's happening is it's actually protecting the joint as well when you're bringing more blood to the joint. Compounded on the fact that a support system, when you have a splint in your finger and you jam your finger, you bust your finger, you're going to take a hard metal splint and tape it to it like a cast. The thing is, when you're an athlete and you have something insignificant like a finger bust, you can't just take it away. You can't just put a hard splint on it. So you tape it to your other finger so it mirrors the other joints so you can still move it. Now the problem is tape. Tape slips off. Tape does not have elasticity in it, so you can't actually make a full knuckle. So now you take the compression fabric, a rash guard, and I put it on the same application as buddy tape. Right now we have a single product, which is this. It takes your index finger to your middle finger and your ring finger to your pinky finger. There's no flailing of the joints, so you're not gonna, when you put your finger out like this finger's not gonna come off, get caught on a gi. This finger's not gonna come off, get caught on a gi. It can't. That said, you still have full mobility. I still have the ability to move around, to grab. So, you know, through the year of testing, I discovered I need to have more skin, more surface area. So I wanted the fingerprint, the fingertips exposed. That they wanted the palm exposed. Then they wanted the fabric, just like the bottom of socks at the hospital. They can't just slip, so I had to put a little silicone on there, so there's no slipping. It doesn't give you extra. It's the same. But more importantly is when you're on the mat and you need a post, it's not going to be like sliding on a compression, you know, a rash guard. So all this stuff, the product just kept getting better and better. Now I have my different variations. Right now this is variation 1, silicone grip print. You got the stitching down also to add traction, also to create, this is double. So what's happening in here is the fabric is folded into itself. So it's not just one layer of compression fabric. If you go on the website, you'll see getgrappz.com. It's a longer piece, about double, folded into itself, then sewn into each other. So you get double the compression, double the durability, and still the full ability to move. I wanted them light. I wanted them simple. Palms exposed. You get your support on the wrist. Same thing. Double compression around the wrists. It's not just one piece of fabric. It's the long piece of fabric folded into itself, sewn. It's called a flat lock stitch, which you'll see on the rash guards. It's full elasticity of the fabric, while without creating a big seam. These seams have to like go into each other, but this, it's like two ends meet kind of thing. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it took a long road to get to this area, and then the next version will be, which is going to be releasing in like 4 weeks.
Oh, cool!
Really
yeah,
excited. This right here. So some people like to tape these two fingers together. The patent has always been pending on these two. Like it's always been, the different variations. I had it on this, this, and this. So right now, I went to market with this. Our second product is going to be this, which is coming out in about 4 weeks. If you do like to just tape your index to your middle finger to your ring. Football players like to do that too. And then our third product is going to be the Kurt Angle Custom American Flag Grappz. That's just the same product, but Kurt wears it. Customized American flag. So many requests for it, so I gotta sell it.
I was thinking about that the other day, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna start selling those. But long story short is this is not just Grappz. Grappz, as a brand, we're gonna start really knowing what the grappling community wants and fixing it. We're gonna do our own rash guards. We're gonna do our own MMA shorts, compression shorts. We have wrist guards coming out for grapplers, specified thumb and wrist support specified for grapplers. They're out there on the market, but our version is going to be more customized for grapplers. So, scratching and bulk is not an issue. And then sky's the limit. Like I have a lot of things in here that I'm not talking about, but I got to go A to B to C. Mm-hmm. And I am planning on building a bigger brand around this. We are on Amazon. We've been on Amazon for 6 months. I'm proud of that. Sales just keep going up. Reviews are great. We're 4.5 stars. Again, our biggest issue is sizing and fitment. That's the only problem. You got to choose the right size when you order. You want a tighter fit. And then there's preference. Some people are like, yeah, they work great, but they're too tight. And some people are like, they're too big, they're too long. So now there's the issue of just finding the right size. And again, you're not going to appease everybody. That's what I learned as a customer. Grappz might not be for everybody. I personally wear Grappz on my left hand. And then if I needed to, I would wear it on my right hand. But these digits are pretty strong. If I did hurt it, or let's just say I was a musician or a doctor, preventatively I would wear it. Or if I did hurt it, after I'd wear it. This one, because of my recurring injury, I just wear it. Doesn't prevent anything, so I wear this every time I train. I wear left grip on my hand, and yeah, man, sky's the limit. I'm very curious how big I'm gonna get it to before I step away because I'm an actor. Mm-hmm. But let's see, like with the ideas that I have in my head and the things that I do want to release that I don't want to talk about yet.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very curious to see where it goes. And again, there's always obstacles and adversity that not scare me, that I'm aware of. Like, they're going to happen. Problems are going to happen. Competition's going to happen. I know right after we released, I want to say 6 months later, I started seeing Luta gear. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yep.
Which I champion them. I'm like, oh, this proves there's a problem that needs to be solved. I personally think that my product is superior. I think their product is not very proprietary. It's been there, the finger slips. Mm-hmm. But I champion everybody who starts something that they believe fix a problem, and I think I'm proven. I have a $300 a month marketing budget, and my sales keep going up. My reviews are really good, and I just hope I can keep my brain on between my acting career, my family, my 2 babies, and my company. I hope I don't blow my load.
Juggling a lot of stuff.
Juggling a lot.
It's good. Yeah. Keep you busy.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So we'll jump into like a quick technique, and then we'll show the chrome breakdown.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you doing it, man.
My pleasure.
And I will link for you guys, getgrappz.com. It'll be across the screen right now, and it'll also be in the description box. Do you prefer they go directly to the website, to the Amazon site?
Website's great because you got all the information you want, all the any kind of testimonials, any kind of reviews, and then any kind of like video. Because just to emphasize, this was created for grapplers. That said, any sport where you tape your fingers together, any activity where you tape your fingers together, this is the superior version of that. So again, if you're a football player, if you're a basketball player, yeah, if you're a basketball player and your fingers are fine, you're not going to wear Grappz. But if you jam your finger and you have to tape that finger for the game, you're going to wear Grappz. That's my market. It's hard because when I do my marketing, I target competitive grapplers like wrestlers and BJJ and Judo. But realistically, it's anybody that tapes their fingers. So yeah, check out the website so you could see it in different sports. You could see actual content of flag football with Grappz, or basketball with Grappz, or wrestling with Grappz, BJJ with Grappz, volleyball with Grappz. So yeah, check it out. GetGrappz.com.
And I'll put it right across the screen.
And follow us at Grappz Official on Instagram and Twitter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
So this is from a good scramble position. I feel like a lot of jiu-jitsu is like, well, we're in the close guard or we're inside control. But a lot of grappling is scrambling. Whether it be from your knees or be from the feet, I'm going to shoot for the legs, shoot for a single, shoot for a double. And I end up here kind of like in a turtle position. Whether I have the leg or not, whether my head's on the inside, head's on the outside, double or single, doesn't matter. But if I'm here in turtle and he gets on top and he is either head and arm, if you get like a front headlock on me here, I have to be able to defend this. So if he's, do it on the other side just for camera, yeah. So I have to be able to defend this. I actually love this position. It's one of my secret go-to moves. It's called the reverse Kimura. So what I want to do is trap this arm. And I'll even bait the Darce if he wants to get it. But usually if he's not getting it, if I got the single and he did have the head and arm like he was, I'm going to just trap this arm right here, like that. Very simply from here to here. Or if he's already Darcing me, I'm going to trap it like that. Gotta make sure to bring that down and have control of the arm. From here, I'm going to take this hand, grab his own wrist, like that. Very simply. At this point, I grab my own wrist, and I have this reverse Kimura. Now, this could be a sweep, a finish, or both. The safe and easy way is I'm going to sit through onto this hip. I'm going to throw this left leg all the way through, sit right here. Come this way just for camera. We're going to be here, and you can finish it pretty simply right there. You could come that way too. There's a straight arm lock. Sometimes they'll fully extend it, like just to fight out of it. They're going to go like that. You can still finish it. But you have essentially like an Americana type thing here, or a straight arm lock. You'll also be able to finish it in the position, in turtle position. So I've been here before, had this single, trapped it, finish it right here. I've done that. With a bigger, stronger guy, you're going to notice sometimes they have such a good anchor in their legs. Really base out and don't let me sweep you. When you sit through, you can't get it. So you could actually go the other way. It's a little meaner and a little scarier. You're going to sit through on the other leg while you pull this arm out. I wouldn't do it at speed. If the guy, again, can handle himself, then you could do it. But I'm going to sit through this way, come around over the top, and you end up in an Americana position. You end up in an Americana position, and you will finish it. Bring it in nice and tight. Use your forehead if you need it. But at worst, you're in the same position.
All right, so guys, make sure you go to getgrappz.com. I will link everything in the description box below. Getgrappz.com. It's right here across the screen. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. Good to see you, brother. All the best. At Grappz Official on Instagram and Twitter.
And I will have that linked as well. Thanks, guys.
Take care.